Chapter 1. The Kingdom of the Skies. High above the mortal world, beyond the reach of mountains and clouds, lay the kingdom of Etheria. It was a realm of eternal light, where the air shimmered with golden hues and the skies stretched endlessly in every direction. This was the home of Queen Lyra and King Caelus, the benevolent rulers of the skies. Lyra, the Sky Queen, was known far and wide for her boundless compassion and wisdom. Her beauty was as captivating as the dawn, and her voice carried the soothing calm of a gentle breeze. Wherever her name was spoken, it inspired hope and peace among the people below. King Caelus, her loyal partner and protector, was a figure of strength and stability. His commanding presence reassured all who sought guidance from him, while his clever mind unraveled the most complex dilemmas with ease. Together, they ruled with fairness, kindness, and a love for their subjects that spanned every corner of their realm. The kingdom flourished under their reign, filled with creatures of the air and light. Majestic eagles soared through the skies, their wings carrying messages of harmony, while luminous wisps danced along the wind, bringing joy to all who encountered them. The people of Etheria lived in unity, guided by their ruler's example. One day, Lyra and Caelus descended to the mortal world to address a disturbance that had reached their ears. A great drought had stricken the northern lands, leaving its people in despair. The rivers had dried, the crops had withered, and the animals were starving. The once thriving villages had fallen into a silence broken only by cries of hunger. The rulers of the skies could not ignore such suffering. Standing at the edge of a barren field, Lyra raised her hands, and the air grew warm and heavy with moisture. Dark clouds gathered above, forming a dense blanket that stretched as far as the eye could see. Caelus lifted his staff of radiant light, commanding the skies to release their blessings. Rain began to fall, soft at first, then stronger, until the parched earth was quenched. The villagers, who had gathered to witness the miracle, fell to their knees in awe and gratitude. They cried out praises to the Sky King and Queen, their spirits lifted for the first time in months. Lyra stepped forward, her gentle voice carrying a message of encouragement. "Do not despair, for the skies watch over you always. From now on, the rains shall return when needed, and your lands will flourish once more." Caelus added, "But remember, harmony requires balance. Tend to the land with care and respect, and it will sustain you for generations to come." The couple stayed among the villagers for a time, helping them rebuild their lives. Lyra shared knowledge of sustainable farming practices, while Caelus taught the villagers how to read the skies to predict weather patterns. Together, they ensured that the people could thrive without relying solely on divine intervention. As they prepared to return to their kingdom, Lyra looked back at the smiling faces of the villagers. "Our work is not yet done," she said to Caelus. "There are others who need our help, others who have lost hope." He nodded, taking her hand in his. "Then let us bring light to where it is needed most. Together we can restore balance to the world." And so, the Sky King and Queen ascended into the heavens once more, their mission clear: to protect, to guide, and to ensure that the skies remained a symbol of hope and prosperity for all who lived beneath them. Chapter 2. The Storm of Shadows. Months passed since the Sky King and Queen had restored balance to the northern lands. Their names were spoken with reverence across the world, and their deeds became stories of inspiration. Yet Not all corners of the earth shared in their light. Beyond the veil of clouds, in a forgotten region plagued by chaos, an ominous force was rising. Deep within the Shadow Isles, a realm shrouded in perpetual darkness, a being known as Morvok stirred. Morvok, an ancient sorcerer banished from Etheria long ago, sought revenge against Lyra and Kalis for casting him out. His hatred festered over centuries, and now he had harnessed the power of dark storms, tempests fueled by despair and destruction. One fateful day, the skies above the mortal world grew unnaturally dark. Fierce winds howled, uprooting trees and scattering debris. Lightning crackled, not with its usual brilliance, but with an eerie violet hue. Morvok's storms unleashed chaos upon the lands, destroying homes and threatening lives. From their palace in Etheria, Lyra and Kalis sensed the imbalance. Standing on the sky balcony, they gazed down at the troubled world below. Lyra's heart sank at the sight of the destruction. "This is no natural storm," she said, her voice tinged with concern. Kalis's brow furrowed as he gripped his radiant staff. "It is Morvok. I can feel his malevolence in the air." The king and queen knew they could not face this threat from afar. They descended from the skies, their presence calming the winds as they touched the earth. They arrived in a village that had been ravaged by the storm. The people there were frightened and desperate, clinging to one another amidst the wreckage of their homes. Lyra knelt beside a child, crying in the arms of her mother. "Fear not," she said gently, her hand glowing with soft light as she touched the child's cheek. "The storm will pass, and your village will be whole again." The villagers gathered around, their hope reignited by Lyra's soothing presence. Meanwhile, Kalis raised his staff to the sky, channeling his power to clear the dark clouds. The wind subsided, and a beam of sunlight pierced through, warming the faces of those below. But their victory was short-lived. The ground trembled, and a voice echoed through the air, chilling the hearts of all who heard it. "You think your light can banish my storms so easily?" Morvok's form emerged from the shadows, his eyes burning with hatred. He was cloaked in dark robes that seemed to flow like smoke, and his staff crackled with violet energy. "Morvok," Kalis said, stepping forward to shield Lyra and the villagers. "You have no place here. Return to the shadows or face the consequences of your actions." Morvok sneered. "You cast me out of Etheria, denied me the light that was my birthright. Now I will show the world the true power of the storm." With a wave of his staff, he unleashed a surge of dark energy that swirled into a massive cyclone. Lyra and Kalis combined their powers, summoning a barrier of golden light to shield the villagers from the onslaught. The cyclone crashed against the barrier, its force threatening to break through. Sweat beaded on Lyra's brow as she poured her energy into the shield. "This darkness is not natural," Lyra said, her voice steady despite the strain. "It feeds on fear and despair. We must not let it take root." Kalis nodded, his grip on his staff tightening. "Then we will stand as we always have, together, unyielding." With a united cry, the Sky King and Queen unleashed a wave of radiant energy, dispelling the cyclone and forcing Morvok to retreat. But before vanishing into the shadows, he left them with a chilling warning. "This is only the beginning. The storm will rise again, and next time, even your light will not be enough." As silence returned to the village, Lyra and Kalis stood amidst the wreckage, their determination unwavering. They knew the battle against Morvok would be unlike any they had faced before, but they also knew they could not falter. "The people need us now more than ever," Lyra said, her eyes filled with resolve. "And we will not let them down," Kalis replied. "Let Morvok bring his storms. Together we will weather them all." The Sky King and Queen returned to their palace, preparing for the challenges ahead. The storm of shadows loomed on the horizon, but their light burned brighter than ever, ready to protect the world from the darkness that threatened to consume it. Chapter 3. The Gathering of Allies. The threat of Morvok weighed heavily on Lyra and Kalis as they returned to Etheria. They knew this was not a battle they could face alone. Morvok's dark storms were growing stronger, and his power seemed to thrive on the despair of the mortal world. To counter such a force, the Sky King and Queen would need the aid of those who shared their commitment to balance and harmony. As dawn broke over Etheria, Lyra and Kalis convened the Council of Light, a gathering of the most powerful beings across the realms. Representatives from the elemental courts arrived: Queen Seraphina of the Flame Court, Lord Thalor of the Oceanic Depths, and Lady Silva of the Forest Grove. Each brought their unique strengths, but each also carried concerns about the rising darkness. "We've all seen the effects of Morvok's storms," Queen Seraphina said, her fiery aura flickering as she spoke. "The destruction is spreading faster than we imagined. If we do not act swiftly, the balance of the realms will be undone." Lord Thalor, his voice deep and calm like the ocean waves, added, "The seas are restless, as though sensing an unnatural force. If Morvok's power extends to the waters, countless lives will be at risk." Lady Silva, her emerald eyes filled with worry, nodded. "The forests feel it too. The darkness is creeping into the roots of our world. We must stand united against it." Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady and full of hope. "Morvok seeks to divide and conquer, preying on fear and despair. But together we can counter his darkness with light. Each of you holds a piece of the balance we must restore." Kalis raised his staff, its radiant glow filling the chamber. "We propose an alliance, a coalition of realms dedicated to protecting the world from Morvok's chaos. If we combine our strengths, we can shield the people and confront him directly." The council members exchanged glances before nodding in agreement. "We are with you," Queen Seraphina said, her flames burning brighter, "but we must act quickly. Morvok's storms are no ordinary weather. They are alive, feeding on the despair of the people." To prepare, the allies devised a plan to counter Morvok's power. Seraphina would use her flames to purify the dark energy lingering in the storm-ravaged areas. Thalor would calm the turbulent seas and prevent the storms from spreading across the waters. Silva would restore the land, healing the earth that had been tainted by darkness. Lyra and Kalis, as the leaders of the alliance, would take on the most dangerous task, confronting Morvok directly. They knew that defeating him would not only require strength, but also wisdom and the ability to inspire hope in the hearts of the people. As the meeting adjourned, Lyra stood on the balcony of the Sky Palace, gazing down at the world below. Kalis joined her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. "Do you think this will be enough?" he asked softly. She turned to him, her eyes filled with determination. "Hope is a powerful force, Kalis. If we can remind the people of their strength and their unity, we can weaken Morvok's hold on them. Together, We will show him that his darkness cannot overshadow the light. That evening, the Sky King and Queen descended to the mortal realm, accompanied by their allies. Each ruler set to work, their combined powers bringing restoration to the lands that had suffered under Morvok's storms. As they worked, they spoke to the people, urging them to stand strong and support one another. In the hearts of the villagers a spark of hope began to grow. They saw that they were not alone in their struggles, that their rulers and the forces of nature stood with them. The Alliance's efforts planted the seeds of resilience and unity, weakening the despair that fueled Morvok's storms. But Morvok was not idle. From the depths of the Shadow Isles, he watched the Alliance's movements with increasing rage. "They dare to defy me?" he snarled, his violet eyes blazing. "Let them come. I will show them the true power of the storm." As the Alliance prepared for the final confrontation, Lyra and Kalis stood side by side, their bond unshaken. "The light will prevail," Lyra whispered, her voice resolute. "And we will lead it," Kalis replied, his staff glowing brightly as they braced themselves for the battle ahead. Chapter 4. The Final Confrontation. The skies above the Shadow Isles roared with fury as the Alliance gathered at the edge of Morvok's dark domain. Storm clouds churned, casting the land in near-total darkness, while bolts of violet lightning split the air. The very ground beneath their feet trembled, as if warning them of the immense power that awaited. Lyra, her radiant aura glowing despite the oppressive gloom, turned to address the gathered allies. "This is where we make our stand. Morvok's strength lies in fear and despair, but together we will show him that hope and unity are stronger than any storm." Kalis stepped beside her, raising his staff. "Stay focused and remember the plan. While Lyra and I confront Morvok, each of you must keep his forces at bay and protect the people. The balance of the realms depends on us." With resolute nods, the rulers of flame, ocean, and forest prepared for the battle ahead. Queen Seraphina summoned a wall of fire, its golden flames illuminating the darkness. Lord Thalor called upon the might of the seas, forming a protective barrier of water around the allied forces. Lady Silva extended her arms, and vines sprouted from the ground, weaving a shield of living greenery. Lyra and Kalis stepped forward, their figures glowing with celestial light. Together, they entered the heart of the Shadow Isles, where Morvok awaited them. The sorcerer stood atop a jagged obsidian throne, his violet eyes gleaming with malice. His staff crackled with dark energy, and the shadows around him seemed alive, writhing and whispering like 1,000 malevolent spirits. "Ah, the Sky King and Queen," Morvok sneered, his voice echoing ominously. "You've come to my domain, thinking your light can extinguish my darkness. How foolish!" "Your darkness is born of hatred and fear, Morvok," Lyra replied, her voice steady. "But light is not so easily vanquished. We are here to restore balance, and you will not stop us." Morvok laughed, a chilling sound that reverberated through the air. "Restore balance? The world does not deserve balance. It deserves chaos to reflect the corruption within its people. And I will deliver it." With a sweep of his staff, Morvok unleashed a surge of dark energy. It spiraled toward Lyra and Kalis, but the Sky King raised his staff, forming a barrier of golden light. The dark energy collided with the barrier, creating a blinding explosion. As the dust settled, Lyra stepped forward, her hands glowing with celestial power. "You underestimate the strength of hope, Morvok. It is not something you can destroy. She thrust her hands forward, releasing a wave of light that pierced through the shadows, momentarily dispersing the darkness around them. Enraged, Morvok summoned a tempest of shadowy winds. The storm engulfed the battlefield, its howling gales threatening to overwhelm the allies. But Kalis stood firm, his voice ringing out like thunder. "We will not falter." He struck his staff against the ground, and a dome of radiant energy enveloped him and Lyra, shielding them from the storm. Outside the dome, the allies fought valiantly. Seraphina's flames burned through the advancing shadows, while Thalor's waters extinguished the violet lightning that struck the ground. Silva's vines ensnared Morvok's minions, preventing them from reaching the villagers. Inside the dome, Lyra and Kalis combined their powers, their light growing brighter with each passing moment. "This ends now, Morvok," Lyra declared, her voice echoing with divine authority. Morvok's laughter faltered as he felt the sheer force of their unity. "No, this cannot be," he roared, unleashing one final attack. But his dark energy was no match for the brilliance of the Sky King and Queen. Together, Lyra and Kalis released a massive surge of light, a wave so powerful it consumed the shadows entirely. Morvok let out a final scream as the light enveloped him, shattering his staff and banishing him to the void from which he had come. As the storm dissipated, the skies cleared, revealing a brilliant sunrise. The allies stood victorious, their combined efforts saving the realms from Morvok's tyranny. Lyra turned to the villagers, her voice filled with warmth. "The darkness has passed, but remember, true strength lies in unity. Together, you can overcome any challenge." Kalis added, "The skies will always watch over you, but it is your resilience and hope that will shape the future." The villagers cheered, their hearts filled with gratitude and renewed faith. As the alliance disbanded, returning to their realms, Lyra and Kalis ascended to Etheria, their mission accomplished. From their palace in the skies, they looked down at the world below, now basked in light and harmony. "We have restored balance," Lyra said, her voice soft but resolute. "And we will protect it as long as the skies endure," Kalis replied, taking her hand in his. Together, the Sky King and Queen stood as guardians of hope, their light an eternal beacon for all who lived beneath their watchful gaze. Chapter 5. The eternal legacy months had passed since the defeat of Morvok, and the world beneath the skies of Etheria flourished once more. Fields were green, oceans calm, and the people lived in peace, their faith in light and unity stronger than ever. Yet, for Lyra and Kalis, their work was far from over. As rulers of the skies, they understood that peace was not a permanent state, but something to be nurtured and defended. One morning, as the first rays of sunlight illuminated the sky palace, Lyra stood at the edge of the celestial balcony, gazing down at the world. Kalis joined her, his expression both serene and contemplative. "They are healing," Lyra said, her voice filled with quiet satisfaction. "The scars of Morvok's darkness are fading, replaced by hope and growth." Kalis nodded, "But the balance is delicate. Even now, whispers of unrest reach our ears. The realms must remember the lessons they have learned." Lyra turned to him, her eyes filled with determination. "Then let us remind them. Let us create a legacy that ensures the balance endures, not through fear of darkness, but through the strength of light and unity." A vision for the realms. With that resolve, Lyra and Kalis began visiting the allied realms, seeking to establish a council that would unite the leaders of the world. Queen Seraphina of the Flame Court, Lord Thalor of the Oceanic Depths, and Lady Silva of the Forest Grove eagerly embraced the idea, recognizing the need for continued cooperation. In a grand assembly held at the Sky Palace, leaders from every corner of the world gathered. Lyra addressed them with a voice that carried both authority and compassion. The victory over Morvok was not ours alone. It was the result of unity, of shared purpose. Let us formalize this alliance, a council dedicated to preserving the balance and ensuring the prosperity of all. Kahless added, this council will not only guard against future threats, but also promote understanding and collaboration among the realms. Together, we can achieve what none of us could alone. The leaders agreed, and the Council of Realms was formed, a beacon of hope and unity that would guide the world for generations to come. A gift to the people. To commemorate this new era, Lyra and Kahless used their celestial powers to create a monument on the mortal plane. At the center of the world, they raised the Pillar of Light, a towering structure that radiated a warm, golden glow. Inscribed upon its surface were the words, "Hope is the light that guides us, unity the strength that binds us. Together we rise." The pillar served not only as a reminder of the victory over darkness, but also as a source of inspiration. Its light reached every corner of the world, a constant reminder of the Sky King and Queen's watchful care. The next guardians. As years turned into decades, Lyra and Kahless began to prepare for the future. Though they were immortal, they understood the importance of fostering new leaders who could continue their mission. They mentored individuals from all realms, teaching them the values of wisdom, compassion, and courage. Among their students was a young mortal girl named Alina, whose heart was as pure as the morning sky. Alina had grown up in the shadow of Morvok's storms, but had emerged stronger, her spirit unbroken. Under the guidance of Lyra and Kahless, Alina became a symbol of hope for her people. When the time came, she was chosen as the first mortal ambassador to the Council of Realms, bridging the gap between the celestial and mortal worlds. An eternal watch. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Lyra and Kahless stood together on the celestial balcony. The world below was quiet, the stars beginning to appear in the night sky. "We have done what we can," Lyra said softly. "The balance is restored, and the future is in capable hands." Kahless took her hand, his gaze steady. "But our watch is not over. As long as the skies endure, we will be here, guiding and protecting." Their light shone brightly in the heavens, a constant presence for those who looked up in times of doubt. The Sky King and Queen had become more than rulers. They were legends, their names etched into the very fabric of the world. And so, Lyra and Kahless continued their eternal vigil, their love and dedication to the realms, an unyielding beacon of hope. Together, they ensured that the light would never fade and the balance would never break.